the desert of the real.
Girl, I've been born ready, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome to the desert of the real. This is the desert. And is it real?
That's the wrong reel, Ryan.
Oh, wrong reel. Yes. I am your host, Ryan Hudson.
Although it's the right reel for Baudrillard, but
Baudrillard.
it's the wrong reel for us.
Yeah. But the right reel for us if it's spelled the way it is.
Right.
So we're both right and wrong.
It's the real reel.
The Desert of the Real is a movie podcast where I forced Jason to watch the big blockbuster movies he's refused to watch because he didn't think they were worth his time.
And I'm the co-host, Jason Dietz.
We're currently going through the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Almost done.
Almost done. Our high school teachers. And between the two of us, we teach English, film, philosophy, and creativity classes. We try to use the learning we acquired from our graduate degrees to dig deeply into movies. We're trying to help you dig deeply into movies. That's the real thing.
And I'm trying to help Ryan dig deeply. And he's trying to help me dig deeply.
Yeah, we're over.
It's just this general deep digging
I'm
thing.
forcing you to watch these, and sometimes
you also provide me with these insights into like how they were made or all these cool background stuff that they're doing.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like every week times.
We explore the creativity, philosophy, and film studies and ethics in our films and push you, the listener, to think critically about your entertainment. People these days always they're not thinking about what they're watching.
A lot of people.
I teach a film class, and I get so many people, oh, it was good. Well, what was good about it? I don't know.
It's just entertainment.
It was bad. What didn't you like about it? I don't know.
Why do we have to think about it?
Yeah.
It's just entertainment.
We watched Thor Love and Thunder.
We did.
By Taika Waititi, his second
Waititi.
Marvel movie.
Yes.
And we have an interesting development here. Because you liked this.
A lot.
And I am not a fan of this one.
Yeah, I like this one a lot.
This is not the first time it's happened, but it's
a rarity.
It's a rare occasion. Because usually it's either I like it, you don't like it, or we're both like, yeah, it's not that great.
Or we're both like, yeah, this was really great.
Yeah. And here we have, I think, the second one ever where I'm going to try to convince you that it's not so great.
We're going to flip chairs. That'll be fun.
Anyway, Thor Love and Thunder. Mm-hmm. Do you want to give a summary?
No.
Nope.
We don't do summaries anymore. They take up too much time.
Let's just jump into it and talk about...
This one would not be a snarky summary, though.
Yeah. That's why you don't want to do it. Let's go over what we liked and didn't like about it and then get into the deep stuff.
Okay.
All right. You know what? My pros, even though it gets in the way, there are some funny moments. Sometimes,
how does it get in the way?
We'll get into it because
the whole thing is a funny moment.
I think Thor's character. Here's the funny thing: Chris Hemsworth has even said this himself. Like, Thor he's kind of like a joke in a bad way this time. It works in Ragnarok, and this one I'm like, what are we doing?
I disagree.
But Korg saying funny things. Even Natalie Portman has some funny moments. Tessa Thompson.
Yeah.
There's just some jokes make me giggle. Oh, Russell Crowe doing his little lifting up the skirt, walking down the stairs. He's got an accent going on.
So good.
There's some fun moments, and I can't deny Christian Bale.
You friggin' amazing.
You didn't know he was in this movie.
I did not.
One of your favorite actors.
He is my favorite actor.
Were you worried when you first realized it was him?
For the first little bit, because I knew that you hated this movie.
Yeah,
and so I was like, why would they stick Christian Bale in the worst MCU movie? But then after I realized what they were doing with this movie, then I was like, okay, he fits here. It's good.
Yeah, like it's good. Like he's he's hamming it up. He's chewing up the scenery in the best way possible.
Yep.
Like it was
just because he's Christian Bale.
He
can't not do that.
One of the best actors alive.
I think he is the best actor alive.
He is amazing.
We won't argue about that.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, well, that sounded like you were. He said one of.
But I think it would be super easy for him not to be doing a good job in this movie. I just think there's a history of famous actors who are in bad guy roles who maybe get underappreciated. He's not just like being evil, but he's like when he's in the cage with the kids.
Yeah, that scene was amazing.
No, let me rip off his head.
You
don't think this is funny? You thought it was a second ago. Like stuff like that. It's all good.
It is all good. See?
Christian Bale's
all
good. The action scene that I truly love, the best part in the movie for me is when they're fighting on the black and white little moon. Because it's so small.
Yeah.
Like a funny moment when they're going to the planet and then they just crash into it unexpectedly.
See?
And like the whole fight scene, it looks like a comic book.
Yes.
Like it looks so it doesn't look real. But it looks so unreal to the fact it comes full circle that it's a comic book unreal. Like the lighting, whenever they use light, you can see the color.
Yeah.
Because everything else is black and white.
Yep.
Oh, that's a cool moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of many, many cool moments.
That's most of my, my pros.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Christian Bale as kind of like an evil Jim Carrey Grinch character.
Yeah.
Like I bet there was some influence from the Grinch in how he played that character.
Maybe.
Because I kept seeing the Grinch. I don't really like Guns N' Roses at all, really. But, I mean, it fits in what they're doing. I love the goats.
Oh, my gosh.
I love the goats.
Well, you better, because it was every 10 minutes.
But, like,
got the
every
goats
time
again.
they showed up, it made me laugh.
No.
Okay, so here's a dear listener. This happens to me all the time. I'm surprised it happens to Ryan also. So, for me, my expectations going into a movie color the movie.
Okay.
This is actually something we're talking about with genre in my English classes. So if we are expecting a certain X and the movie or whatever doesn't deliver that, we think that our reaction is negative to it. I went into this movie not knowing a thing about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious, start to finish. I thought there were great performances by everyone in it, and so I was able to appreciate it for what it was, not expecting it to be, another Thor Ragnarok or whatever. It was just what it was. So, anyhow, I love the goats. Like, actually, this will date me. I've already been dated, but in the movie Better Off Dead, which I think you should watch because it's very funny. It's just a running joke, like the kid in Better Off Dead, where he's like, I want my $2. He just randomly shows up, screams his way across the screen, and then everything keeps going on. It's like that. I was down with the goats.
See, here's the thing. You know what doesn't scream in real life?
Goats. That's
why
why it's funny.
You know what was a meme, 10 years ago?
No, I don't mean.
Goats screaming. We've seen it. I don't know why, but there's other movies, like the dang Grinch movie my kids love. There's just
Jim Carrey one?
No, the cartoon Grinch.
Oh.
There's just a screaming goat. It just feels like, what's funny 10 years ago? Screaming goats. Let's put that on every 10 minutes. That'll be funny, right? Every time.
Okay, well, see, here we go. I don't have social media. I haven't seen any of those memes, so... Like how they did Thor's hammer was really cool. Like visually, the splitting apart and coming back together and all of that.
At first I was like, the dating thing, that kind of overstates its welcome too, in my opinion.
Well, I thought it was funny.
Mighty Thor... So
why is she Mighty Thor? So that's a dumb name.
Originally, it's Lady Thor. Lady Thor. Why can't she just be Thor? Because in comics, she does become Thor the only Thor for a while. And people get upset about this because Spider-Man, there's a Spider-Woman, Iron Man, Ironheart comes around. People get generally upset with gender flipping and race flipping and stuff, but they don't realize comics. There's so many comics doing all sorts of things.
Right.
So it's never bothered me once that there are female versions of almost every single superhero and stuff. But the Lady Thor, I guess, isn't good anymore. It has to be the Mighty Thors for official.
Great.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's one
it
of those
is.
things.
Um,
Spider-Woman, one of them, what started out Spider-Gwen, because it was Gwen Stacy. Spider-Gwen. But now it's like, oh, why does she have to be Spider-Gwen? Why can't she just be Spider-Woman like Spider-Man type of thing? So there's various examples of it was named this and now it's not.
So everyone's just not happy with what they originally were named. And
yeah. In this movie it says, do not call me Lady Thor.
yeah, I noticed that. I was like, okay.
That's a call to, I guess, fans, I suppose.
Sure.
Yeah.
Matt Damon's cameo was great. I love Matt Damon. You're going to take that away from me?
Keep banging it on the table.
Okay. I'm scooching all my fidgets away.
Well, Matt Damon was in Thor Ragnarok.
I know, but Matt Damon, again, is in my top actors. And so him popping up was great. Russell Crowe is in my top 5 favorite actors.
Yeah.
And so by the time we got to Russell Crowe, I was like, this has to be my favorite MCU movie. Because they all did great.
There are people who don't like Russell Crowe's
you're false.
I agree. I think he's funny.
I thought it was hilarious. I've never seen Russell Crowe do anything even remotely like that.
Oh, I base a lot of myself off of him. All right, who has the most human sacrifices? Right? Maybe not the best.
Just the silliness. I loved the silliness of it.
Wait, I'm alive. I'm down here.
Who knew that?
It was just the face.
It's just the lips. The space dolphins, the planet you already mentioned, they crash into the planet. That was hilarious. I just loved it. It was great. My favorite battle was the kids at the end. I thought that was so awesome. Just all of the kids, for a limited time only.
Yeah. See, okay, here's the thing. I like that because it's fun. You see a little girl
with the bunny, the
killer
killer bunny.
Cuts like a monster in half.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. This is why it bothers. Here's the thing. My negatives, I kind of want to be constructive with my criticism. It's so easy to be frivolous with criticism. I don't like it.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
I'm not.
Oh.
I'm looking at the door over
No,
there.
I saw you.
It's a fun moment, but in the end, it's just it becomes on it.
But it wasn't just a fun moment. It was Thor being like, "I recognize I need you. I need your help. I'm gonna share my power."
That idea bleeds into my number one biggest issue with this entire movie, which I will get into.
Okay.
But this is what I'll say. What the problem when movies franchises get too long, you get a moment like that. Thor can give his powers. Okay, then you're like, wait a second. Why didn't he do that when they fought Thanos? Why hasn't he done that every single time they fought a big bad guy? And then the biggest one, you probably thought it too. You get to what's it called? Eternity.
Mm.
You got to make a wish.
Mm.
Is it called Eternity?
Yeah.
You get
just the first person that finds eternity.
Here's the thing. I don't know a single person that watched this movie didn't go like, wait a second. Why didn't they do that to fight against Thanos? Wait,
do what?
Why didn't they just make it to eternity to wish everyone back, you know?
Oh, yeah, I didn't think that.
That doesn't, bleed into this movie's problems, but it does kind of make you second question.
What problems?
Okay.
See, that's how I feel every time. You're like, this is such a great... I'm like, what are you talking about?
Because I was like, wait a second. Why didn't they make a wish to wish everyone back in the universe?
Why didn't they wish for 100 more wishes?
Do you know what you'd wish for if a genie gave you 3 wishes?
What?
No, I'm asking you as a... This is a good, hiking question.
World peace.
Okay, that's a good one. That's better than me.
What are the other standard answers That's the only one I know.
You also have to be careful if, like, is this a genie that will, like, trick you? You have to trick with your words? Or is it not that way?
So your first wish would have to be, I wish I knew if you were a genie that was going to trick me or not. But then...
Yeah, you could.
They might be like, no, but they really are because they're tricking you.
Because is it like monkey paw rules?
Right.
Or is it
where world peace? Okay, world peace. Everyone dies.
That would be a peaceful world. I mean,
yeah. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, next time you go on a hike, listener, because like there's nothing to do besides walking and looking around and
looking at the gorgeousness.
Yeah, I know, but you're walking for an hour or whatever. That's a good conversation to have.
Why you got to have a conversation?
I don't know. Fine, don't talk to the people you're with. Never have this conversation, I suppose.
3 wishes. That's the conversation. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Or you could talk about the existential meaning of everything that you see.
Why do you gotta talk? Huh? Why do you have to
That's a good point. Everyone should just shut up on a hike and enjoy the scenery.
Okay, so it's a nice twist when the wish that Gorr the God Butcher has, he wishes his daughter back. That's nice. I loved
that.
Yeah.
Because as he was looking at Thor and not Lady Thor, whatever her name is. What is her name? Jane.
Yeah.
I was like, if he wishes her cancer cured, this is going to piss me off and I'm going to have a 10-minute tirade. But then he didn't. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, MCU, not copying out and having the bad guys suddenly become magnanimous at the end. He's still like, I want what I want. The end.
Yeah. See, that is a nice moment. I wish it was set up better. Good.
I thought it was hilarious, start to finish. I felt like this was MCU's like Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Which I love. And so I was like, yes, finally they're not making fun of themselves, but they are kind of making fun of themselves and like just having a good time. And the CGI was pretty terrible, but
like I said last
they're
episode,
just having fun
from here on out.
And I loved it. So there you go.
Nice. It's pretty painfully obvious they had no idea what to do with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor. So we have, I think it feels like the Russo bros at the end of Endgame was like, here, this could be a fun dynamic. Let's put Thor with the Guardians, send them here. What's they do? You know, like Falcon is now Captain America. Let's set up all these different ideas type of thing. Loki's who knows where. I mean, you know where Loki is if you watch the show.
Dead.
It just feels like Taika was not interested in having the Guardians in his movie. So it was like, well, I guess that was all for naught. I mean,
I don't know. There was that pretty funny send-off scene.
Yeah. Do you like that he's back into shape? Did you want him
fat? I actually asked my kids if that was like CGI, like when he goes... Is he really that big? And they're like, yeah, he's really that big.
Here, I'm glad you brought that.
That's crazy.
That's one of my notes. He said, like, that specific one, you see him naked, basically. You see his butt and stuff.
Oh, I didn't.
Right. You flick too hard.
Yay, bit angel.
Anyway, he said, Chris Hemsworth, like, it is basically physically impossible to be in that shape for any more than 2 weeks. Like, you have to be actively working and eating as hard as possible to look like that. So he said, it's just don't even like think about it. Like, in a way, like, you're going to go crazy or damage yourself if you want to look like that when he was basically naked. Like, he got there just for that moment, but he doesn't look like that the rest of the year. He doesn't look like that normally. You have to borderline destroy your body, like dehydrate yourself, be living and breathing the fitness to look like that. So it's not realistic what I'm trying to say.
Right. Oh.
And you shouldn't aspire to look like that because even Thor doesn't. I mean, he has massive arms. He's in good shape. But what you see doesn't reflect reality, he would say. Which is a good thing, I think.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shouldn't think I should look like that.
I don't. think
I don't either.
I should look like me.
Right, yeah. You should be happy with what you look like.
I agree.
You should do exercise. Take care of your body.
Agree.
But
Get
don't
as jacked
feel bad
as you can get.
if you don't look like Thor
Yeah.
in this movie. Actually, I mean, no matter what, you're like, man, look at his arms. Look at the size of legs right here.
Yeah.
I think it's really, on one hand, it's just disappointing, but I think it kind of affects our view of Gorr, the God Butcher. He does all his butchering off camera. He isn't, I mean, we see him kill the first guy, but then it's like, oh, all these guys, all these gods are dead. Who's doing it? Oh, someone called the God Butcher. I wish we saw a little bit on camera. I mean, maybe that's the fanboy in me wanting it, but it's also like, Zeus is scared of this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe give us a reason to also understand. So that's one thing I just wish we would have seen him kill one or two gods before he gets to...
You're bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
We learned that last episode.
Yeah, I don't remember. The one where I
love
cried.
it when they tear Professor X's head off and throw it down the hallway.
Okay, so then some people said this about Thor Ragnarok. In our episode, my friend who was on the podcast, he said like, "Oh, why don't we have to undercut every moment with a joke?" I think it hurts this movie way more than it ever hurts the last movie. So here's the thing: Thor is coming from a bad place. It's kind of him filling that hole in his heart, finding his family. Literally, like he gets a daughter by the end. So that's become his new life purpose. But I just think one what specifically stands out, the Asgardians, their kids were just kidnapped. And they're fighting themselves. He comes in like, Asgardians, I'm not your king, but let me be a leadership role I can. Like, he steps up in front of everyone. And I'm like, yeah, show us why we should listen to you. Stupid joke.
He's Thor.
Yeah, but that's such a moment that I think we needed gravitas there. Unironic gravitas.
Okay, wait.
I'm serious. That
Okay,
hurts the movie.
Wait. So what about the movie up to that point suggests that there are going to be gravitas moments?
All right, you're right.
We got Thor doing the friggin' Chuck Norris plane separation thing. Jean-Claude Van Damme, whoever it is.
Pay respect.
Chuck Norris did it too.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Show me where. Thor, if you've been following the MCU, you are aware of everything Thor's been through. And yeah, it's kind of silly. Let's make a joke about the whole franchise up to this moment. Why not? That's fun. But literally, they're joking about his family members dying. Last time we saw him, it was so heartfelt. And now it's like, oh, I guess we don't need to let him be sad about this. All his family died.
Bro, he been sad.
Yeah, I know.
Like, he been sad for 8 years since he showed up last.
All his friends are getting killed off, and Korg's all like, who's that guy? Don't remember this person.
Yeah, that summary? Okay, there.
Yeah.
So even that summary at the start, you can't leave that summary and be like, oh, this is going to have some serious gravitas. This is a serious movie.
Okay, but Jane's main problem with this, she has terminal cancer.
Am I right?
Gorr's daughter dies and wants to get vengeance on gods who are don't care. I don't know. I'm not saying there can't be any jokes. I'm just saying that jokes kind of hurt the movie.
That's fair if you assume that this movie was intended to be a serious, like, I guess this is where, like, I did not ever see this movie as, like, I never anticipated any serious moments in this movie because, like, how it's set up and all the, like, that absurd battle that Thor has at the beginning, like, I was like, oh, okay, so this is going to be that kind of movie.
Yeah, okay, I guess last time we saw Thor, he has been funny since Ragnarok and the Endgame, Infinity War and stuff.
When he was fat?
Yeah, okay,
right.
That's funny, but that's not the only joke. In Endgame, But we still have a moment where he's talking to his mom on a heart-to-heart, one-on-one. There's still pathos in it, though. Yeah. I didn't feel any pathos. I know at the end they tried, where he's like, "Let me be with Jane for the last moment before you wish the gods away."
That was pretty okay.
It's okay is the real answer. Yeah.
But I'm not driven by pathos, so that's probably another reason I liked it.
Yeah, you hate all feelings.
That is what you should take out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess I'm saying the movie was internally consistent with what it set up at the beginning.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. How about that? Does that work better?
Yeah, that's fair. You know what I wonder?
What?
How many kids asked their parents what an orgy was after this movie?
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully none. What are those negatives?
So I'm pretty critical. Let me do my best to put on a film critic's hat on.
And you do that better than anyone in this room.
Well, I'm not saying that.
You
sometimes you read... I think people should read film critics, especially like multiple ones, to see how professionals talk about movies. It's a level I wish I can get to or aspire to at some point. Sometimes on Letterboxd, it's like, here's a funny one-liner I thought of, or here's some things I like. But then you read like published critics, and like, man, these guys can just write in a way that I don't think about, you know. But in an attempt to fully explain my deepest problem with this movie, and like, because I like this right away, and I remember driving home with my wife talking about the movie, and like, wait a second, yeah, like thinking about it, reflecting on like, oh wow, I think it's all falling apart in my mind now. Okay, let me.
What
explain.
Do you mean by that?
I'm glad you asked.
Oh, okay.
Because this movie, in the end, gives Thor a daughter, which is nice, and I think it's a lovely thing to happen. And I hope we see... I think they're planning to do a Thor 5. Maybe it might be the last one.
Love and Thunder 2.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not that it ends there. However, I don't think it was properly set up, which is only a problem because it feels like this entire movie seemed to be screaming at you, this is what it should be. A big thing is Jane coming back and Thor, like, still in love with her and things. Yeah. You see a little fun little montage of when they were dating and things. You see Thor looking at someone with a child and like, oh, he wants a family. But they never get back to that. They never insinuate more than just that one moment. It would have been so much more powerful if maybe that was a reason they broke up or something. Like, maybe Jane didn't want kids or something. Or she couldn't have kids. Or anything like that. So, if it was just that, it'd be fine. But the main driving force of this movie is rescuing these children. And Thor needs to step up to be this father figure for all these children. But every time they play it as this stupid joke. Like, he's talking to the kids. He's inspiring them, and that's good. Let's have Tessa Thompson tickle his nose, make him sneeze in the middle of this.
It's so fun.
No, it's frustrating.
I forgot about that.
Thor is being a father now. Like, we've seen him as a king, see him as like a brother, we see him as an Avenger, we've never seen him as a dad. He has a dad that he just lost. Now he gets to be a dad. Oh, I just wish this movie was focused on this theme here of parenting or wanting to be a parent and like needing to be a parent because everything seems like it's right there.
It was.
Saving these kids, giving the kids the power they have to fight them off, getting a kid at the end. But I don't think that through line is even existing there. And I think it's missing.
Okay.
If you see it in there, to me, that's just you, like, extrapolating, you know, it's, you are just putting things that are not there into the movie. And I think this movie's detriment is that it has this ending that had no setup.
But didn't you just explain all of the setup?
Yeah, I mean, you see him with kids, sure. You see him...
Like he's going to protect the kids.
Yeah, I just
keeps
don't
showing up to give the kids pep talks and advice.
I don't think the theme is...
You think it's subverted by the humor.
That, and also, I just don't think I don't think it was a consideration in the movie.
So what was the arc of the movie if it wasn't him becoming a dad?
It's more like him being like, oh, you can be with the ones you love up until the end, or it's better to have love than to let go, because he never stopped loving Jane. And here is, I'll love you even though you're dying, literally.
Yeah.
And Jane kind of finds her purpose, like, it doesn't matter if this kills me, I'm going to do what needs to be done. And Gorr, even, he's more like, yeah, I'd rather my child live than me get what I want. That's there. But Thor, he's just also on screen at the same time.
Maybe Thor's just not that smart. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you, but I didn't feel the need to have that kind of a level of message, because I didn't feel like I said earlier, I didn't feel like this movie was intended that way. It was intended to be like, let's just, we got these people and these powers, and let's just have some fun and screw around with them and see what happens.
Exactly what happened.
Right.
And I only think it's a problem because of how it ends. Like, oh, he is a dad now,
but he's not he has a child in his home.
Yeah. And
the end of it is like him trying to learn how to do that. Negotiating that. Here's pan flaps.
It could have been learning how to be a dad the whole time.
But it... Okay,
I
we're
don't
gonna just
think
have...
it is.
It is. I don't think it is either. And I don't think it ever was intended to be that.
Yeah, but...
It's just people... It's like what you're doing is like Napoleon Dynamite sucks because the message of... I don't even know what the message would be. Take care of your steaks was, I don't know. I feel like you are demanding something of this movie that it was never intended to be.
Well, that might be the case, but the movie seems to have pretended that was what
that is
we
fair.
Got in the end.
Because we did get a lot of kids in Thor. That's fair.
I don't know.
So maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's true.
It has been known to happen. A lot, actually.
I mean, there are specific things, like, I think in the first Thor Ragnarok, Taika Waititi's first movie, Thor Ragnarok, there are specific things that he wants in his movie, as a specific message. Specifically the migration thing. Let's protect the people who need to be protecting. I think that reflects the director's personal beliefs. And later on, with Zeus is all... That is not our issue. We are safe here. We need to do something. So I am projecting that the director thinks it's wrong to be comfortable where we live when there are issues other places.
Well, I think it's stronger than that. I think he's if there's Martin Luther King's famous quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere."
Right.
I think that's what he's trying to say. If you have the power to do something and you know it needs to be done, you have the responsibility to do it.
Yeah.
That's an ethics thing that we'll get to later, but...
Because I see stuff like that now, especially with the whole Gaza stuff going on in the news.
You can find, not to downplay it, but the Gaza events that are in your sphere...
Yeah.
And those are the things that you have power to interact with and change.
Right.
And if everybody does that in their sphere, the whole world changes.
Yeah.
This is a drum beat that I beat with my classes all the time. You don't need to change the world yourself.
Yeah.
You just need to change your sphere. And if everyone will do that, the world will right itself.
You just remind me of a quote I saw on social media. Someone posted, sometimes it could be frustrating when someone asks for help when they're in a time of need. Oh, what? I have to help you even though you don't help me or whatever. But the quote was essentially like, you should feel good because they see you as a candle in their time of darkness type of thing.
Sure.
Sometimes it can feel overwhelming. I know, like, my wife is someone who will go above and beyond to help people.
Yeah.
And it sometimes feels like that's not reciprocated all the time.
Does it need to be?
Well, it could be hard when someone like my wife is so willing to help someone in a way, and then when she needs help or a similar situation and doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
then the challenge becomes, do you continue?
Yeah.
Because you know it's right to do it,
right,
even though other people haven't figured it out yet.
Because it's like, what's your circle? What's your sphere that you can help?
Yeah.
As teachers, we have a bunch of students. You want to help them because that's the good thing to do. I think figuring out your sphere of influence and just being content to, like you said, be the light. To be the light in that sphere. It doesn't matter that you can't help the people in New York, or, we had at time of recording, we had a massive hurricane hit the eastern coast. What can I do to help? I don't know. Probably not much. I could get in my car and drive to the East Coast and help bail people's houses out. Or is it going to be a better use of my power and my talents to stay where I'm at and continue teaching and shining here for the people that will eventually, who will eventually, right,
and the world changes.
I think what happens, at least in my life, because, looking at my limited abilities and whatnot, sometimes it's more like, I just had a long day at work, or I have another long day at work tomorrow. I only have so many hours with my kids, or after kids go to bed. And, when do I help someone else?
All the time.
All the time is the right answer.
You are all the time.
Am I willing?
You already are. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, what I'm trying to say is, sometimes I'm like, I could do something more. But
why?
What
See,
do you mean?
okay, so this is what I'm talking about right now. See, this is why we end up being discontent and feeling bad about ourselves, because we always feel like I can do more, I need to be more, I need to whatever more. No, like in what you just described, you said, I spend, a long day at work with my students, then I go home and I've got my kids and whatever. That to me sounds like the perfect thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
You're here with your students. You are lifting them, strengthening them, making sure they feel loved. You're giving them power. You're teaching them. And then guess what? You go home and you do the same thing at your house for your kids. How are you not helping?
Well, I was just thinking from what you were talking about, people outside of my home for some
Why?
reason. I don't know. That was what I was wondering. Why would I help anyone else?
That's what I'm saying, is you figure out what your sphere is, and you do your best to lift the people in that sphere. That's all you can do.
Nice.
Any more than that, and you're pulling yourself down, you're robbing yourself of your ability to help the people in your sphere. Be in your sphere. Be the best you can be in your sphere. Stop tearing yourselves down. And just love yourselves and lift each other. Nice. That's it. I mean, I get so frustrated with the social media generation. And it's like, I'm not, friggin' what's his face giving away billions of dollars. Who's that guy?
Oh, Mr. Beast?
No, I'm not Mr. Beast. I'm not helping all these people. I don't go around handing out thousands of dollars to people and filming their reactions. Who gives a crap? What you do in your sphere is more important than that. Yeah. What you're doing with your friends and your family right here is more important. Be the best that, and if everyone is the best that, we don't need Mr. Beast. We don't need people giving away millions, because everyone is lifted by everyone just focusing on, this is my sphere.
I mean,
okay, that's a hot button for me. Go ahead, I'll shut up.
At the very, I wish superhero movies inspired us to be like that more. I think Spider-Man is the best at doing that. But, you know, like we were just talking about at the beginning of this podcast, people just watch and then walk away. And hopefully a superhero movie can be like, yeah, I could be like that in my own way.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah, but what we come away with is I'm not that. And I'm never going to be that. And that means I suck. And so I am 100% on your team for Spider-Man now.
Oh, nice.
Full on. Because ultimately what made Spider-Man, we already talked about this, but ultimately what made Spider-Man powerful had nothing to do with him being a superhero.
Yeah.
And everything to do with, this is my sphere. I have to make a sacrifice to lift the people in this sphere. I will do it. That's all it is.
Nice.
He could have done that without webs and clinging and flipping and, you know. So, yeah, I'm 100%. We need to ease off of ourselves. We need to stop comparing ourselves to other people. And we need to just love ourselves and allow that love to radiate to the people around us.
Nice.
The whole world changes. The end. Okay.
No, actually,
that's something that's so frustrating to me. Okay, apparently I'm not done. You can edit whatever you want. Because I see my students and I see my kids and I see people around me and I'm like, you guys are freaking awesome. Look at who you are. Look at what you're doing. And all they can see is what they're not.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts. Who cares what you're not? Be what you are, love what you are, and use what you are to lift people. Okay, I said that like 8 times now. I'm going to shut up.
I think we should just go to your philosophy or ethics right now.
Whatever.
No, I'm serious.
I already ruined your thing.
No.
I did.
I was already done anyway.
You were not. That's a passion moment for me.
I have nitpicks at this point. You could also want to be like, oh, what's her face, the other Viking lady, you have to die in battle to get to Valhalla. Oh, dang it. Jane dies, not in battle, goes to Valhalla.
That's fun.
Anyway, no, I want to hear your philosophy and ethics.
We just did the ethics.
What's the name? What ethics?
So this is really kind of an example of loyalist ethics. If I'm being honest, loyalist ethics sometimes can lead to horrible, horrible things.
Yeah. Actually, can I want to hear a fun example? It's not a fun example.
Wait, a fun example of horrible things?
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
I just because we were talking about these ethics in my class for a paper, and a student brought up the Nazis. Mm-hmm. They were loyal to Nazism.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so loyalist ethics can, Nazism, like there's a lot of it, like, oh, here's one that pisses me off, snitches get stitches. That's loyalist ethics. And it's really insidious because the whole idea of snitches get stitches protects the bad guy. And so you're being loyal to the bad guy and you're screwing your friend that's getting manipulated or beaten up or whatever. I hate snitches get stitches.
Nice.
Snitch. I don't even think it's snitching. It's protecting the weak against the strong.
Unless you were asked not to say something. I don't know. I'm just trying to think.
So I get done killing someone, and then
sure.
I notice you, and I'm like, hey, bro, let's just keep this between us.
This is how your philosophy classes go. Yeah, whatever makes you happy. Then you're like, but if cutting heads off makes me happy?
That's exactly how it goes.
Okay.
So that's how you do philosophy. Is someone offers an idea, and then you go to as far extreme as you can, and then you work your way back until the answer is, yeah, I believe that. That fits. No, and then you have the bounds.
It's a lot of fun, but you will always have someone be like, so what defies the word you just said?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me kind of explain. So my main problems was internal, like what we see on the screen.
Right.
So at the time they made this movie, that kind of the whole Marvel CGI stuff was coming to a head of like animators refusing to work with Marvel, getting frustrated, being underpaid. stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was an interview Taika did before this movie, doing one of like the Variety magazine, like a scene breakdown. He was with Tessa Thompson, and they're talking about one scene, and these are actually super interesting. Like if you are into movies or also wanted to hear how directors think, these are fantastic things. Things you never thought of, like how directors are mindset into specific shots. They showed the scene when they're still in New Asgard. By the way, what do you think of the Infinity scones or Infinity cones? It's like, hey, didn't Thanos? Isn't he like the biggest bad guy ever? Let's make a joke about ice cream cones. Isn't that in poor taste? Anyway, so they're breaking down a scene with they're about to go on their journey and stuff. In this interview, Taika makes a couple comments. He's like, does this look kind of bad to you? And Tessa's like, yeah, right now this doesn't look real, looking at Korg and stuff. And it got a ton of backlash because it's like, why is the director of the movie openly, seemingly mocking the animators who are openly expressing their frustrations with this industry? And then there's a part where Tessa like flinches, and she points out like, oh, this is supposed to be where he wakes up from his trance talking with Heimdall's son. And Taika also says something to the effect of, oh, I never noticed this. Huh? And so, whatever reason, it's not like, I mean, directors watch their movies over and over again in editing and stuff. It just came across that he didn't care about this movie. So there was a bunch of backlash at the time of like, Taika is just in it for a paycheck and doesn't even care about this. So that's something you would never get coming from your point of view, not online, right, not part of the discussion. But Marvel is such a franchise. We've talked about this several times, how audiences help create a thing, right, a never-ending circle of creation here. A movie's made, fan art gets made, people express their concerns, yada yada. Let's build another one that kind of builds on the good and the bad to hopefully do something better. So it's, on one hand, it's like, we can't say we're not Taika, but it kind of felt that way because of this interview. Taika not really caring. He even said in a further interview, the Jason Bateman podcast with Will Arnett, what is that called? Speak Less or Smartless, which is a lot of fun because they get big celebrities because they're celebrities. They had him on his podcast, and they asked him about Thor, and he said, I was never a fan of Thor. I needed to feed my family. Back in Ragnarok. Wow. And it's hard not to do that because, like, yeah, here's a golden ticket, go for it. And people love Ragnarok. Yeah. So it was a few things around Taika, and people I think were kind of getting sick of Taika because he was also the Pixar movie Lightyear came out. He's a voice, and it's like, oh, he insists on being Korg. Just like, let's have the director be just a character? Why not? Type of thing. I think to a degree, if you get so popular, it'll eventually break. Yeah. And I think this broke a lot of people for Taika Waititi. Oh, doesn't care. Openly making fun of animators, yada, yada, yada. That was kind of part of the pileup. Because if you look on like Letterboxd, mostly in the negative with this movie.
Yeah, I did look.
Yeah. So there's some context that existed at the time it came out.
That's interesting. I
mean, could you argue that's just how Taika is? Like, yeah, that's how he jokes. He's not being serious. You can't say he doesn't care. You can definitely make that counter argument.
Right, because this whole movie is that.
Right, yeah.
Like, he's just having fun.
Yeah. It's just, it happens if you get too big.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, I think that's true because, so I teach music appreciation, and there are couple of examples where being too big broke a group. Like Creed, the musical, like the metal group Creed in the 90s was the biggest group on the planet, and they just got to the point where like their music was so played all the time everywhere that people finally got sick of it, and then just like boom, it's just like chopped it. They go from being the biggest group on the planet to nobody knows them anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably true.
But what's interesting, though, is his career after this movie.
Oh.
He's done a couple commercials. He's dating the one singer, so he made a couple music videos. Did a short. He did a movie called Next Goal Wins, which came out in 2023, but I believe it was made and ready to go at least a year in advance. So whatever reason, it was just put on a shelf. About this, the soccer team in New Zealand. But then he doesn't do anything until this year. He had a TV series on Apple, Time Bandits. They turned Time Bandits into a TV series. So, I don't know.
Okay, so Time Bandits fits perfectly with this movie.
Time Bandits, actually a great recommendation if you want more silly, goofy.
Yeah.
That's a great recommendation of The Reel.
Okay, so if that's what he's making, then that's how you have to see this movie.
But it's interesting that his career after this has been one movie.
He's dead.
And then a TV series. And Apple Plus has great stuff, but no one sees it because it's on Apple Plus.
But, like, we're talking about 2 years ago.
Well, that came out this year.
Right, but
I know,
this movie
only
is
been
only
2
2 years old.
So, whatever. I guess you'd think there'd be more, I suppose.
Maybe. I don't know
Maybe
how long
not.
it takes to make a movie.
And I'm just putting things together.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm trying to connect dots here. Anyway.
So this movie kind of put a...
I think people are willing to embrace Taika. I mean, they didn't go see Next Goal Wins, but, maybe it's next one.
Yeah,
people didn't go see Time Bandits. It already got season 2 is already canceled.
Oh, wow.
But it's because it's on Apple. People watch Netflix more in one day than they watch Apple Plus in a month. That's a fun stat that came out not too long ago.
Yeah, I just got Apple Plus like last week, so I'm going to
You gotta
start
watch
watching.
Ted Lasso.
It's not on the edited thing.
Dang it. There's a connection to Ted Lasso in this movie.
Cool.
Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
The end credits. Something that may never get a payoff. We see Hercules.
Yeah.
Which is... he has his own comics. He's his own guy in Marvel.
Yeah.
Similar to Thor. Played by Brett Goldstein, who is Roy Kent in Ted Lasso. That's his main thing. He also has a great movie podcast called Movies to Be Buried With, where he asks people, like celebrities, minor British celebrities, like, what's the movie that made you laugh the most, scared you the most, the first movie you remember seeing, your favorite movie, like a bunch of questions that are fantastic. I stole it from my film class. That's how I introduced it.
Oh, cool.
Will we ever see Hercules again? Maybe not.
Me personally, almost.
You won't.
Almost certainly not. But
Hercules versus Thor could be a fun movie. I mean,
could be.
Could be.
So the philosophical concept is love, obviously, for this movie, and obviously it didn't take it that seriously. But there are a couple of moments that we get concepts. So the two opposing forces that I saw emerging is Gorr's concept of love. At one point he says love is pain. And then Thor's concept, another point, he says love is all any of us want. And so I don't think either of those, like the ends of that spectrum, are completely true. But I think both of them have good insights into what love actually is. Because Hollywood does a horrible job of giving us the experience of love. I think Disney especially is responsible for our warped view of what true love is. True love is more like The Notebook than it is like any Disney movie ever. Like, true love is, like Gorr said, it's pain. There's pain involved in love.
Yeah.
When things don't go the way you want, or when you are with the person that you love and they're suffering, there's pain involved there. Like, currently my wife is with her mother who is dying and will die very shortly. And so part of that love that she's there now is pain.
Yeah.
And because I love my wife, her pain is my pain. So Gorr is not wrong, but if love is only pain, then I think, Gorr is wrong. because we have the other side. We have Thor's side. Love is all anyone wants.
Yeah.
And you can very easily boil down just about every choice that you make to, I want love. Whether that's like the English word love is pretty garbage in terms of like
Okay.
its ability to convey the breadth of what love means.
You know, I think it's best put. I heard it once said, "All you need is love."
Oh my. Oh yeah, who said that?
You know, that's a joke.
Who said that?
That's
Ryan?
only for you and me. I think they don't know about
Well, we have this ongoing argument about
Pink Floyd
versus
the Beatles.
The Beatles. Yeah.
And of course, you know that line, listener. But I couldn't. You probably
Oh,
couldn't
boy.
say any Pink Floyd lines.
Okay.
No, but
I mean, feel free. That could be our reader response or our
send
listener
us an
response.
email about how much you love Pink Floyd and why.
Or the Beatles and why.
We already know why. Everyone does, so that's fine.
Okay, this is not a music podcast. Anyhow, getting back to what we're talking about, the Greek concept of love is much richer, and I wish that as the English language evolved, we would have brought that along with us. But in Greek, there are 4 different words for love. So eros is the kind of love that most people think of when they think of love, like the Disney version of love where, oh my gosh, that person over there that I only know, actually Frozen does a really good job of mocking this. Like that like, what's her name? That falls in love and gets married in 2 minutes or whatever. Yeah, that. And so the eros is the passionate love between, romantic partners. But that's not the only love that's available. We've got agape, which is frequently considered the highest level of love. It's the self-sacrificing love that we see from like Spider-Man at the end of No Way Home. That's agape. That's not motivated by I'm passionately in love with the planet or whatever. It's this willingness, this unconditional giving of oneself to someone else or to a cause or whatever. And then we have philia, which is like the root of like Philadelphia, brotherly love.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's like, I would say that we have, well, at least me going to you is like a philia love. It's like a brotherly love. Like,
Yeah.
Well, in Greek, it's like a soul connection. Like between our souls are tied. I'm not romantically interested in you. I'm not
Rude.
Sorry to break that to you. And then there's this 4th love that's a self-love, which I think is really important in terms of like our own mental health. And so when Thor says all we need or all we want or all, what does he say? Now you ruined it with the Beatles. All we want is, all anyone wants is love. If we're thinking about it in the terms of the Greek larger concept of love, I think that that's true. Most choices that we make are motivated by one of those 4 loves.
Yeah.
And so we have Gorr, we have Thor, and hey, those rhyme. I just realized.
Me too.
Gorr and Thor in love. Anyhow, there's this spectrum that a true and full understanding of love involves all of that.
Yeah.
Which Hollywood generally does its best to make sure that we don't get. We just get love equals sex for the most part.
Actually, that's super true.
And I hate that because...
That's a good kind of argument for the people who are wanting more sex scenes.
Who the flip wants more sex scenes?
Don't get on
You guys are
film Twitter.
friggin' weirdos. They don't... Like, sex doesn't... Okay, look, okay. See, now this is gonna be another tirade, but the amount of, even in a romantic relationship, the amount of that relationship that is sexual is so small as to be basically not important.
Compared to everything else a relationship
Compared to
is.
everything else that's going on in that relationship, that part of it is so small, but Hollywood makes it seem like that's all there is sex. And if you're not having great sex with your partner, you should be moving on. That's, in my opinion, criminal.
Yeah.
To get that message over and over and over. That's not even the main driving force of love relationships, even in romantic love relationships. So I think I'm calling Hollywood out. I'm calling you guys to repentance.
Yeah,
we need more accurate representations of what love means, or the whole world is going to come crumbling down.
Yeah,
Maybe not. I don't know.
We've already mentioned a few times, statistically, the younger generation's like, yeah, we don't need nudity and sex in our movies.
Right.
Anyway.
Because maybe the younger generation is smarter than us, and they recognize, oh, wait, that's not what love is. That's just a teeny little part of love.
Yeah. I guess I could...
That's all I've got.
No, that's good.
So
I have a film criticism, little nitpick, kind of, but... And
Pick
then
away.
the media literacy of the real. I think it's pretty clear when they're ad-libbing. Like, let's say Natalie Portman with her... oh, what should my motto be? How about "Here Comes the Thunder"? Blam! I think that looks like it's ad lib, not in the script. And I think it's kind of frustrating when maybe just to capture moments that you don't know what they're gonna say, the camera isn't being interesting. This is not as important, but sometimes. Because, I don't know, I watched a few movies recently where the camera is just so alive and interesting. Like, I just watched Shaun of the Dead again. The camera is a thing of beauty, you know. And here's two more. Random. That actually makes a very interesting double feature. Challengers, the Zendaya love triangle movie. Camera is changing its language all the time. Or The Favorite, another type of kind of love triangle movie in a different way with the queen and her servants. But like, it's just it's the camera standing out. I mean, there are some moments. There's a moment when the daughter comes. Gorr makes his wish. The camera goes up. And then we see the shadow of the daughter. The camera's still going up. And we see the daughter standing there like, oh, a one take that playing with the transition there. So there are things... But sometimes I'm like, man, the camera could be doing something. Look where we are. We're in the realm of the gods. And what are we looking at here?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's especially like a poignant or powerful insight, because we just watched the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Where the camera is doing...
Yeah. Back to back that movie.
Yeah, go.
Camera...
This is your...
Well, you already said it. Sam Raimi has a cinematic language. You can tell it's his movie, even if you don't know.
Just by how he's using the camera.
Even how he frames stuff like close in on the eyes. That's like the Quick and the Dead, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I don't know what Taika's language is. It's not necessarily bad, but it's kind of boring in this movie. I just wanted to kind of dip my toe in the philosophy of the real, or media literacy of the real, where comparing Gorr and Jane as two foils for one another. So Gorr's whole thing is he's going through a faith crisis, and he's lost faith in the gods, which is kind of interesting because it would have been easy to be like, oh, this movie is saying you don't need faith in gods. Look at Gorr. But then we see the gods. We see an afterlife. I think this movie was like, yeah, no, there's faith. That's not it. That's just Gorr's thing.
Right.
And Jane's the opposite. She's going through a scientific crisis. She has to revert to magic.
Yeah.
So it's like a fun reversal. But this theme of trying to control their fate. Gods let me down. I don't need the gods. Let me kill the gods. Jane's like, science has let me down. Let me turn to magic. And then it still, like, it doesn't save either one of them.
Right.
I think they're interesting foils for one another.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
And I only noticed it this time around, but I thought that was interesting. Like, then they both die at the end too. Like, they are the strong foils, and they both try to control their outcome. I'll use Mjolnir and do what needs to be done. I'll use the black sword to stay alive and do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And different outcomes, like different desires, but trying to control what is out of their control.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Thank you, Dr. Dietz. That's all I have.
You're welcome, Master.
I mean, Thor Love and Thunder, I gave a 2.5. I'm pretty...
I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Good. I'm glad. Makes me happy that you like it.
Yeah.
I tell my film students, I like it when you don't like the movies that we watch. That means you're thinking about
As long as they've got a...
Yeah, as long as they can explain their thoughts or whatever.
So our dessert of the real is the pan flaps for me at the end, or whatever he called them, pancake.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
It was cute. They have a good dynamic.
Yeah.
And I mean, not that I'm going to watch it, but I hope those two end up together because they play well off of each other. Cool. So what's next?
The next movie, of course, is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Cool.
Another movie that elements out of its control affected the movie.
Like outside of the
movie? Let me tell you, just to better understand, like, they had a script, they were getting things started when Chadwick Boseman died in real life. And it's one of those... It might be a heavy episode next week because it's so intricately connected with death in real life when we saw it. So it might be an interesting one.
I really liked the first one, so...
Yeah.
I would have liked it better if it wasn't a Marvel movie, but...
I know. You loved Black Panther. Now I can't wait to...
Except for it was a Marvel movie.
Same director.
But Black Panther's gone.
Yeah.
Probably
anyway, Black Panther next. I'm excited for you to watch it.
I'm actually excited to watch it also.
And then The End's in Sight.
Hallelujah.
And we'll do a Jason's Choice.
Maybe we'll do a whole season of Jason's Choice.
Maybe we'll do 2 in a row. And then,
wait, is that a whole season? Is 2?
I want to get to Star Wars.
You're a cruel taskmaster.
Yeah. Thor, Love and Thunder. Deeds loves it. I don't really like it. What do you think? Send us your thoughts and emails at desertofthereelpod@gmail.com.
Like, subscribe.
If you send us your thoughts of Black Panther 2, we can also read it on that episode.
Yeah, you might even get airtime and be famous.
Right.
with all of the people that are listening.
Yeah, all our followers.
Hey, speaking of all of our followers, we could use more. Like, if you like this, if what we're doing is beneficial or helpful to you, share it. That's within your sphere.
Also, leaving a review on Apple. That's the one that helps us out the most.
Yeah. So.
And a 5-star review at that point.
Oh yeah, of course, because
maybe we'll read some of them if we get them. Maybe we'll read them if you drop us a review on Apple.
There you go.
Anyway, we love you.
We do love you.
Think critically.
Please.
Bye.